In this video, I'm going to share my experience with relapse and weed, and I hope you find some value in my experience. I smoked weed for many years, and I loved some of it, some of the aspects of it, and I hated a lot of the aspects of it. And I created a lot of consequences for me in my life. And I ultimately reached a point where I realized that I could no longer smoke weed. And in my experience, that's what had to happen. I had to kind of reach this point, this like fork in the road, where it was like, okay, am I going to be honest with myself and really try to live with my conscience and be aligned with who I really am? Or am I just going to block all that out and just ride it to the end of my life, just running and avoiding and suppressing? And, you know, some people seem like they can do that. Maybe I'm just a super deep thinker. I don't know. I don't know anyone else's experience. Everyone has to have their own experience. I just know for me that when I would go back to weed, when I would relapse, ultimately that fork in the road kept coming up over and over again. And the more times I relapsed, the more time the more momentum the decision and the commitment of getting clean was, because it just got heavier. Life got heavier and heavier and heavier. And, let's face it, weed is used to make life lighter. Well, if it's not making it lighter and your life is getting heavier and heavier, it's harder to ignore that conscience, that honesty with yourself. So I don't think it's a bad thing to relapse, because it helps you to reach a point where you can really be honest with yourself, when you just let go of all the bullshit, all the compromising you've done. And again, I say that's what I had to do. I had to finally reach a point where I cannot live that way anymore. And it's a tough place to get to for many reasons. For one thing, weed is so comfortable for a little while. And the narrative now in the culture is you get so much support and belief that weed is really good for you, and it's not the weed, it's you. And it's difficult. It's difficult to let go of it because of all that narrative and all that comfort. But if you know, you know. And that's the real challenge. And it shouldn't be a challenge, but it is for me, again, I don't want to say you have your experience, but my experience is I just had to reach the point where I had to look myself in the eyes, in the mirror, and tell myself the truth. And the truth for me was, no, weed did not serve me in any way. And when I relapsed on it, my existential conflict got worse. It didn't help it. It no longer helped me at all. It was an anchor in my life and a crutch. And I know now, on the other side of that's true. And when you're in it, you can't really see it. It feels like all this, heaviness in life. But the best thing that ever happened to me was reaching that point where I'm like, that's it. It's over. No more weed. And relapse was part of that process. And part of the guilt and the shame when you relapse does not serve you, because ultimately that's what you need. That's what you use weed for, is to treat guilt and shame. I mean, it's really good to escape guilt and shame with weed. But even now, I'm saying that, it's like, okay, that's part of the process. Is feeling enough guilt and shame where it's like, okay, dude, come on. Why are you doing this to yourself? And again, it's like me talking in a mirror. That's the way I had to talk to myself. Why are you doing this? You know, do you have such little respect for yourself that you're just going to just numb yourself for the rest of your life and avoid living in alignment with who you really are? And you've tried to live that way with weed. And when you really were that way, you were miserable. So again, there is a level of choice there. And anyway, I'm pulling for you. If you'd like some help quitting weed and changing your life and living and feeling better about yourself and just living a more aligned life, you can click the link below and set up a call with me. Right on, that's what I got. Hope you found some value. I know I repeat myself sometimes, but hey, it is what it is. Much love. Peace.